Once upon a time, in a land so beautiful that even the clouds would pause to admire it, there lay a magnificent kingdom called Eldoria. Tall golden towers shimmered in the sunlight, rivers of crystal clear water sang as they flowed through emerald valleys, and the forests were filled with flowers that glowed softly even at night. The king of Eldoria was a wise and gentle man named King Aldrich, and his queen was the most gracious woman the land had ever known, Queen Seraphina, whose kindness was said to be as boundless as the sky itself. They had one daughter, a princess whose beauty was not just of the face, but of the heart. Her name was Princess Lyra. Princess Lyra had long hair the color of moonlight, silver and soft, that flowed behind her like a river when she ran through the palace gardens. Her eyes were deep violet, like the sky just before the stars appear. She loved books, birds, and, most of all, the night sky. Every evening, she would climb to the highest tower of the palace and sit by the window, watching the moon and whispering to the stars as if they were old friends. But happiness, as all fairy tales know, does not last forever without a challenge. In the dark mountains far to the east lived a wicked enchantress named Malgora. She had once been a powerful queen herself, but greed and jealousy had twisted her heart into something cold and hard as stone. She despised beauty, kindness, and laughter, for these were things she had lost long ago. When Malgora heard of Princess Lyra's kindness and the love the people of Eldoria had for her, a dark fire burned in her chest. "If I cannot be loved," she hissed to her black mirror, "then no one shall be." On the night of Princess Lyra's 18th birthday, when the whole kingdom was celebrating with lanterns and music and laughter, Malgora appeared in a storm of dark smoke at the center of the grand hall. The music stopped. The lanterns flickered. Everyone stepped back in fear. Malgora pointed one long, twisted finger at Princess Lyra and spoke in a voice like cracking ice. "You, dear princess, shine too brightly for this world. So I shall place you where you truly belong, among the stars. From this night forward, you shall be locked inside the silver moon, trapped in the sky, visible to all but touchable by none, unless someone can find the 3 lost tears of the moon goddess and bring them to the base of the silver mountain before the next full moon. And trust me, no one ever has." With a terrible laugh, she raised her hands. A blinding silver light filled the room. And Princess Lyra was gone. The king and queen wept for 7 days and 7 nights. The whole kingdom mourned. The flowers stopped blooming. The rivers stopped singing. Even the birds refused to fly, sitting silently in the branches of the dark, quiet trees. King Aldrich sent out a royal decree across every kingdom, every village, and every distant shore. "Whosoever finds the 3 tears of the moon goddess and frees our daughter from the silver moon shall receive the greatest reward the kingdom of Eldoria can offer, and our eternal gratitude." Many brave knights came. Many clever sorcerers tried. But none succeeded. The moon shone in the sky every night, and within it, if you looked carefully, you could just barely see the outline of a young woman with silver hair, sitting with her hands pressed against the glowing surface, watching the world below. In a small village at the edge of the Eldoria kingdom lived a girl named Aloan. She was not a princess. She was not a knight. She was a simple shepherd girl who cared for her grandmother's flock of white sheep. But Aloan had something rare, a heart that felt deeply, a mind that questioned everything, and courage that burned quietly. Like a candle, small, but impossible to extinguish. Every night, Aloan looked up at the moon and thought she could see something, someone, inside it. One night, she saw the figure press her hand against the surface of the moon, and Aloan felt, deep in her bones, that the princess was asking for help. "I will go," she said quietly to herself. Her grandmother laughed softly. "You, my dear, you are just a girl." "Just a girl," Aloan agreed with a smile, "is sometimes exactly what is needed." The next morning, she packed a small bag, a loaf of bread, a candle, a warm cloak, and she set off toward the Silver Mountain. Aloan walked for 3 days before she came to the River of Forgotten Wishes, a great silver river that wound through a pale forest where the trees had no leaves, only long trailing branches that whispered softly in the wind. An old woman sat by the bank of the river, crying silently. Aloan sat beside her. "Why do you cry?" she asked. "I threw a wish into this river long ago," the old woman whispered, "and I have forgotten what it was. I only know it was the most important wish I ever made." Aloan thought for a long moment. Then she reached into the river, cold as winter, and let her hand rest below the surface. She did not ask for gold or power. She simply whispered, "I wish for this woman to remember her most precious wish." The water glowed. The old woman gasped, then smiled, a smile so warm it seemed to light up the grey forest around them. A single silver tear rolled down her cheek and fell into Aloan's palm. It was cold and round and perfect, like a pearl made of moonlight. The old woman looked at Aloan with knowing eyes. You have the first tear, child. The river gave it to you, because you wished for someone else. Beyond the silver river, Aloan climbed through dark hills until she reached the Valley of Lost Songs, a quiet hollow where a young musician sat on a stone, holding a broken instrument. He strummed it gently, but no sound came. What happened? Aloan asked. I was the finest musician in the land, he said sadly, but I became arrogant and cruel. I told the poor people my music was not for them. One night, a spirit took my music away. Now I cannot play a single note. And without music, I am nothing. Aloan sat beside him for a long time in silence. Then she took his broken instrument and, though she knew nothing about music, she tried to fix it, carefully, gently, with steady hands and patience. It took many hours. Her fingers hurt, but when she finished, she placed it back into his hands. He plucked a single string. A note, pure and golden, rang out across the valley. The musician wept. A single tear fell, warm and glowing amber, into Aloan's palm. That is the second tear, he whispered. It belongs to you, because you gave without being asked. At last, Aloan reached the foot of the silver mountain. It was enormous, white as bone, with peaks that disappeared into the clouds. A narrow path wound upward, and at the very top was a cave that glimmered like it was lined with stars. Inside the cave, sitting on a throne of ice and light, was the moon goddess herself, tall, ageless, robed in white, with eyes like two full moons. I have been watching you, shepherd girl, she said, her voice like water falling over smooth stones. Then you know why I am here, said Aloan calmly. The moon goddess nodded slowly. You have traveled far. You have suffered. But tell me, why do you seek to save a princess you have never met? Aloan was quiet for a moment. Then she said simply, because she is lonely. And loneliness is a suffering no one deserves, not a princess, not a shepherd, not anyone. The moon goddess was still for a long moment. Then a single tear, silver and warm, the most beautiful thing Aloan had ever seen, slipped down her immortal cheek and floated gently into Aloan's hand. You have the third tear, said the moon goddess softly. Go now, and place all three at the base of the silver mountain before the moon rises tonight. Aloan ran back down the mountain. Her legs ached. Her hands trembled with the weight of 3 small tears, and yet they felt like the most precious things in the world. At the base of the silver mountain, she placed all 3 tears gently on the cold ground. For a moment, nothing. Then the earth began to glow. The 3 tears rose slowly into the air, spiraling upward, silver, amber, white, higher and higher until they merged with the full moon above. A crack of brilliant light split the sky. And from that light, Princess Lyra fell, softly, like a feather, right into the meadow beside Aloan. She looked up at the shepherd girl with her deep violet eyes, blinking in wonder. Who are you? She whispered. Just a girl, said Aloan, smiling and holding out her hand. Princess Lyra took it. Together, they walked back to the kingdom of Eldoria. The flowers bloomed the moment the princess's feet touched the kingdom's soil. The rivers began to sing again. The birds burst into the sky in great joyful flocks. The king and queen wept with happiness. The entire kingdom celebrated for 7 days and 7 nights. Malgora, far away in her dark mountains, looked into her black mirror and screamed, for the mirror had shattered, and in each broken piece, she could see only her own cold, lonely reflection. And for the first time, perhaps, she understood what she had lost. Princess Lyra never forgot her time in the moon. She had watched the world from above, and what she had seen was not gold or power, but small acts of kindness. A girl mending a stranger's instrument, a hand offered to an old woman, a simple wish made for someone else. She asked that Aloan be brought to the palace, not as a servant, not as a guest, but as a friend. And the two of them, the princess of silver moonlight and the shepherd girl of steady courage, grew up side by side, and one day, ruled Eldoria together with wisdom, warmth, and wonder. Crescent moon the end. And they say, even today, on nights when the moon is full and silver, if you look very carefully, you can see 2 small figures standing at the highest tower of a golden palace, watching the stars together. Glowing star sweet dreams, dear listener. May your heart always be brave, and your kindness always find its way home.